There have been some notable memories in my family life, and maybe in yours too, as to when we got lost. I wonder if things were around your mind. Yes, we remember getting seriously lost in different situations. It does happen to us, part of being human. These memories, though, are graven upon our image. The maze at Holton's Park near Southampton, we couldn't find the centre, we couldn't find the way out, and in the end we humiliatingly had to be guided out by a member of staff. We remember that very well. Trying to find the city of Delft in Poland. Can't do that difficult, can it? It's a big city, but it's pretty hard to miss. It's also on the main road, but we did miss it. We couldn't find it, and Nicky can explain. But then finally, we had a lovely experience in Sintra getting lost, because it wasn't Sintra. We were trying to find Sintra, the beautiful castle, and we were only about 5 miles from it. We couldn't work how to get there. So we saw this Portuguese man by the side of the road, and we asked him if he could guide us. Well, he did far better than that. He shot into his car, and he guided us there the whole way. And it was so kind of him. And, we were saying, oh, we must buy a coffee or something. That's so nice. No, he just wanted to shoot straight back through the thing. But it was very generous indeed. So that was a nice lost story, to be honest. So today, we're looking at the passage of lost things. Lost sheep and lost coin, we've heard about, but also in that passage, there's a son as well, the prodigal son. Clearly, those who listened to Jesus or watched him and his actions, and of course the disciples who lived with him, would have realised that there was a theme emerging in his life and ministry. It had already been declared as a sort of manifesto by the Magnificat. If I read you these words, it gives you a clue. He has scattered those who are proud in their inmost thoughts. He's brought down rulers from their thrones. He has lifted up the hungry. He has filled the hungry with good things, and he sent the rich empty away. Jesus was making habits in his life of mixing, and actually we could say making a bias towards those in the society of the day who might have been regarded as lost or poor, or were written off as sinners, or people who are doing the wrong job and can't possibly be a decent human being to do that job, or it was racist, they were not Jewish, and so they were written off. They shouldn't be given another look, most people in society said, but they must have noticed that Jesus was frequently dining with such people, those people they regarded as wrong people. For example, he dined with tax collectors. Now the tax collectors, Levites and sinners, were all gathering around to hear him, but the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." We're not very keen on tax collectors, let's be honest. A tax collector 2,000 years ago in first century Palestine was hated on steroids, if you like, really hated. It was a far more serious hatred than we might have a dislike of paying our taxes. One problem was they were people that the Roman Empire appointed called tax farmers. They farmed an area for tax. They were given the franchise of tax to that area. So the government would say, we need so much money, so many denarii out of that area, you get it. If you can get more than that by extortion and unpleasantness, cheating poor people, you can keep that. And it's why tax collectors were hated, because they had a conspicuous and rich lifestyle, and everybody knew how they gained that rich lifestyle by taking far more tax than was needed. Not only that, it was tax for a foreign power. It was going to a Roman occupying power, and also some of it was going to King Herod. And most of the Jews did not like King Herod and his family either. But you can see, can't you, that the tax collecting of that day is very different to HMRC in Britain or the Ministry of Finanças in Portugal. They're very calm and docile compared to the way it was done in those days. There's no doubt Jesus had a heart and a bias for the poor, the needy, the outcast. Here in chapter 15, we are going to look at a reflection or two of the lost parables that Luke has decided to put together. He's put 3 lost parables in one chapter. So we start with the lost sheep, maybe the most famous of all the lost parables as well. The task of a shepherd in Bible times was more dangerous than today's shepherds. He had to live out in the field in all weathers, and he had to keep a close eye on his charges in the field, because sheep are very sweet, as we know, and delightful, but they can get themselves into trouble, and he needed to look out for the trouble. In my last role, before I retired as Vicar of Ashburnham in Sussex, we had a fascinating view out of our back window of a field of sheep. It was delightful to see. We were a little bit over-enthusiastic about it, as the local farmer would say, because we'd quite often ring him up and we'd say, there's one of the lambs seems to have got caught in a thicket. You think he needs help? He'd shoot round, bless him, lovely man. Shoot round with his sheepdog, who was completely useless as a sheepdog. He's a great friend to the farmer. And you go and sort out the lamb, and then mum might be caught in barbed wire, or quite frequently we'd see on the side of a hill would be a sheep, probably a pregnant sheep, who was caught upside down with her legs in the air, and she just could roll, but she couldn't right herself. And we used to talk around that. And in the end, he did say, rather wearily, he said, they normally right themselves on their own and you give them a couple of hours. So we got the message. We had to ring less frequently after that. So sheep needed great help, but in the 1st century AD, they needed added help because of the dangers of wild animals. So they were actually lions, particularly in Old Testament times. There were lions. King David had to fight off lions as a shepherd boy. And of course, there was always the risk of thieving. Probably it's quite not too difficult if the shepherd's not looking to just steal a lamb or a sheep. And so the shepherds had to be very cautious and very careful, eagle-eyed. They must have frequently counted their sheep. So here we have a case where he's counted his sheep. He's got 100 sheep, and he can only count 99. You could say, come on, it's only one. It's a 1% loss. That's not going to be too bad. But it doesn't really matter. Just look after the 99, not him. He is really concerned for that sheep. He puts an enormous amount of effort into it, and he finds his sheep. He rejoices when he finds that sheep. And Jesus says as a comment, I tell you that in the same way, there'll be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents, over 99 persons who do not need to repent. So suddenly he's changing it from the some of the story of lost sheep, the lost people. It's considered by the shepherd not just an everyday thing, God, lost the sheep, I found it again. Something to be celebrated with friends and family. We think of the woman who's lost a coin as well, in a similar way. It was probably a big financial and personal disaster. It was part of a dowry that celebrated her marriage. And I suppose a similar disaster for us would be the loss of a wedding ring. You can replace it by buying another ring, but it's not the ring that was used when you made the vows and got married. So it wouldn't be the same thing. It would be a really big loss, bigger than just the financial disaster of losing a ring. And that's what seems to be happening here. She searches high and low, and she finds it, celebrates again with friends and family. This is a theme Jesus wants us to have, the celebration of what lost. In the same way, I tell you, there's rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. These two lost parables emphasize that in God's kingdom, the lost, the poor, the suffering, the homeless, the hungry, the racially abused are all deeply valued in God's kingdom. And because of that, there should amongst us, God's people, be a bias towards them too. I think if you take an average group of human beings and you take a group of Christians, I think you would find that in the group of Christians you're far more likely to find a higher proportion who are in caring professions than the other group of people. More nurses, more doctors, more social workers, more charity workers, more overseas workers than the wider population. And I think the reason for that is quite clear. It's answering a call of Jesus to have a bias to those in need. In our little village of Horseman Then, where we come from, 2 miles outside Tunbridge Wells, There's a young man who grew up there, and just last year we had a church dinner afterwards. I think it was harvest last year, and as part of that dinner, we had a Zoom. This is very radical for us. We had a Zoom meeting with an old member of the congregation and the village, who is now living in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Now, we can remember what was happening there a year ago. There was an invading army from Tigray province, and it was expected to attack Addis Ababa. It didn't eventually, but that's what the fear was. And here was this young man, of course, that they knew very well, and who works as a manager for MEDER, which is a Christian charity, a Christian relief charity. And it was also almost surreal. When he first started the conference, he started talking about the Heath Village stores. You live in Horsham, everybody knows the Heath Village stores. He's got national awards for selling just about everything you can imagine. It's a brilliant shop indeed. And here he is in Addis Ababa talking about Heath Village stores, which we all know so well. But what he's also doing is in a place where he felt he'd been called. They were trying to give support and relief to this country at war. Many of the aid workers were going into very dangerous places where there were marauding soldiers around, trying to help people who were just completely destitute, had nothing. I would see him as an example of a Christian answering the call of the New Testament to care and make a bias for the lost in our society and in the world. I think I mentioned last week, Nick and I go on the odd protests. It's a sort of retirement thing, which is and probably shouldn't go to Cuba. And now we also shouldn't go to Nigeria, because we stood outside the Nigerian embassy. We were protesting about Leah Sharibo, who, when she was 15, she along with her classmates were just taken, at a Christian school they were in, was taken by Boko Haram, and many of them were just given to Muslim fighters as wives and their children. Some have come back. We believe that Sharia is still alive, and there's a possibility you might like to officially pray. And I think, again, that's something we should do to seek and to save the lost. Support our charities, intelligently support our charities, know that we can trust our charities to do what they say, that the money will go where we think. And that should be part of our walk with God, to help the lost. And also, I think there are things we can do personally in our lives. For example, at the moment there is this terrible energy crisis and income crisis, which is particularly affecting people who are have very little money. One thing I think we can do, when we go shopping, we've got a food bank nearby, why not say 10% of what we buy we will put in the food bank? And from my experience of food banks, don't give them tomato soup or baked beans. They can have a swimming pool for tomato soup. But it's often actually hygiene products and toilet rolls, toothpaste for the children. Those kind of things are really valuable, and we have food banks often quite short of those. So that's something intelligently we can do to help the suffering of the lost. Now answer Jesus' call. Perhaps you might, as we just draw to an end, ask yourself in your life, when do I make a bias in my life for the lost or the outcast? Let us, in our lives, make a bias to seek and save the lost. May that be a cause for celebration and rejoicing in God's kingdom. Amen. Will you turn to me, please, the number in the hymn books to 1116, 1116, because Jesus was talking about rejoicing in heaven. I'm sure there is in the Bible between. And this is a song that talks about there is a higher throne. A wonderful place. So please join me in singing this. There is a higher throne, and all this world is known, where faithful ones from every tongue will one day come before the sun.
No.